Hello, everybody. My name is Dell. We're watching a video about monster fuckers because I think it's going to be amazing. Yes. Yes. We understand what the hell's going on here.
We're only talking about fantasy in this video. This is not a video about animals or bestiality. Monsters are, very importantly, not real. We are only talking about fictional, sentient beings here. Not animals, and not analogs for animals. Okay? Okay. Today, I found this. A post to r/hearmeoutbro about Tailbot from Foundry.
Yeah, nah, homie, you got found. You got found the fuck out. Oh, nah. Nah, I can't imagine getting called out. Like, I saw your ass posted about me. Anyways, I'm gonna make a whole video about it.
I always knew this day would come. I've seen the kind of fan art you people make. It's really not news, is it? Like, I'm really not surprised by this. Hear me out is such a popular exercise, it's just part of language at this point. You expect to see this kind of thing on the internet. What I didn't expect was to be so fascinated by it. After I found this post, I did a little bit of digging like I tend to do. Did you know that there's an entire subculture around this? I don't mean like a subreddit or a Discord server. I mean a serious capital C culture, which you would know.
If I remember correctly, I'm gonna put like Ham Sandwich's "Hear Me Out" song. Hear me out, hear you out. I'll kneel the sun. Hear me out, hear me out. Like, because the motherfucker just has "Hear Me Out" is a actual thing that is perfect. Okay.
Never know by the epithet they themselves have adopted. They're not just people memeing on the internet. They're not just horny fans of a fictional character. No, they're monster fuckers. That is what they call themselves. Part of the reason I feel really compelled to talk about this is because it's not really a niche thing anymore. It has entered fully.
I'm so goddamn hungry. I really should have ate something. Holy fuck, and I'm getting more and more energized. Okay, let me grab an apple real quickly before I pass the fuck out. Oh, and standing up hit me. Okay, Jesus Christ. I ain't even religious. Now I'm calling out for the motherfucker for help. I should have ate something. Oh. Okay, good. At the very least, I'm not. Hopefully, I'm not. I'm bad the fuck out. Honestly, if I just put anything on my stomach, just could have just thrown some bread in there. And so, what happens when you record like at 4 in the morning?
Into the popular consciousness. You may have noticed that the monster romance genre is having a bit of a moment right now. You'll find steamy paperbacks about monsters in your local bookstores right there on display out in the open. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu and Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water are big-budget cinematic masterpieces that feature monster fucking as a major plot point.
I haven't seen The Shape of Water, but I've been told about it. I have not heard of Nosferatu in this context, and now I want to go and check it out.
That hear me out trend where people compare their weirdest fictional crushes blew up last year. You might remember all the cakes. And unlike most online fads, it's still going strong. I'm making this sound like it's all some new thing. It's not, of course. If you look, you'll see it goes back a very, very long time. Demon lovers, seductive sirens, Beauty and the Beast. Monster fucking is just as popular and just as ubiquitous as the monsters themselves. For every person who finds one scary, there's another who finds it very much the opposite. Often both at once. Until now, I just kind of thought this was all a joke. It seems that way from the outside. Most conversation about monster fucking kind of is, even among the monster fuckers themselves. But it turns out, the actual act of fucking a monster isn't really the thing here. There's a lot more to it. There's a legitimate reason, many legitimate reasons, why this fantasy appeals to so many people and has such...
Okay, let me list a few things. Lamia, grip, control, and I feel like being a fucking heat warmer for someone. Drider, webs, natural restraints. I don't have to explain better than that. Let's see here. What else is there? Slug girls, oviposition. I like to give birth at some point, but I don't have the anatomy for it, so you gotta go a different way. Anyways, let's continue.
Staying power. And after spending truly far more time than I ever thought I would studying it, I've gotta say, monster fucking kind of makes sense. Don't worry, if you don't get it by the end of this video, you will. Just hear me out.
He said the line. He said the line. He said the fucking line. I'm so happy. It said the line. They? Have we ever actually attributed a gender to the tailbot? Why am I doing so? Yeah, it said, hear me out. Alright.
Okay, one thing really quick before we start the video. I just need to say, the Tail Foundry community is full of freaks. 100% certified nasty little creatures.
Yes. Also, holy fuck, what is that? Ooh, tummy ma, cute.
While we were working on this video, our team asked them for their thoughts on monster fucking, asked for their hear me outs, and just things got wild. A huge thanks to all our supporters who joined in on this freaky little escapade. So fun to read all this stuff. If you didn't know, this is also just a thing that we do. Everyone who supports us gets to join the Tail Foundry team to chat about videos we have in the works. It's so much fun and honestly so helpful.
I would love to check them out, but I also don't want to get spoiled / know ahead of time. Maybe I'll just do a thing where like I hop in like for like a month or something, read and look into a few things, then dip the fuck out. Who knows?
Sometimes we get entire video ideas, like this one, just by having these conversations. If you want to join in, just go to thetailfoundry.com/support. I hope we'll see you there. Now, back to the video. A while back, we conducted a survey that I think some of you might remember. We asked our audience which monsters they found attractive. The results were interesting. Of course, there were your typical vampires and werewolves, but a lot of you wrote down Pyramid Head, Cthulhu, the Xenomorph.
Xenomorph kink is dope as fuck. Facehugers are like entirely based off of sexual organ, and like it's the whole point, right? That they made horny scary because a lot of weird connotations are surrounding sex and religion, and makes horny things that are slightly darker become scary. So the Xenomorph makes perfect sense. It was already related, like linked to horny from the beginning. Pyramid Head, it's just a big muscular motherfucker with a murderous appetite. People already have serial killer fictions in the first place, so attaching a Pyramid Head makes sense. And tentacles, have you seen tentacle art? What the hell is you missing?
You all really liked the Xenomorph. A few people even put Am in there, the evil supercomputer over.
Sorry, I'm okay. Like I understand Am, but that's mainly just because like I've seen a good chunk of like AI X reader fan fiction, like right. So like I'm fine with this. I just think that Am is like, can we tone him back a little bit?
Overlord from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's like hard to even process some of these. If there's one thing I've learned from the monster fucker subculture, it's that there truly is someone out there for everyone. Name any.
Oh yeah, no. I've realized that I am no longer having to worry about being beautiful or cool or any of the other things, because anyone will fuck anyone, and you just have to look for the right person. Also, I don't really care about body types that much. You just have to match my kinks.
Any monster you want, there's guaranteed to be at least one person out there who wants them. One thing I keep hearing is that the sheer variety is part of the appeal. There are countless monsters to choose from and countless ways to fantasize about them. The one thing every monster has in common, though, they're pure fantasy. So far removed from reality, you can imagine being intimate with them in any way you want.
I'm just saying, really cute fucking demon girlfriend with like branching antlers, and you just decide as a like stem/board mechanism of your body, I'm just gonna decide to tie like different pieces of necklaces and jewelry in between your horns and make it a web with them. It's cute. I like that for my fan fiction. Did I just make that up right now? Yes. Am I gonna write something about it later? Maybe.
Which means that, scary as they may be, monsters are actually a relatively safe way to explore your desires. Although I myself have precious little experience with it, I gather that intimacy is really hard to figure out, even between humans. When you look at another person, it's hard to tell what they're like on the inside. How can you tell if someone's really your type? What if you fall in love with someone only to find out that they aren't who they seem to be? Monsters aren't really like that. They don't really have that much to hide. 9 times out of 10, you can look at one and immediately tell that it's a monster. They wear their fangs on the outside. When you put it like that, it almost makes them sound more approachable than people, doesn't it? Monsters only exist in your imagination. They're safe and knowable. They aren't real. In a way, I suppose you could say it's easier to fuck them.
I need to clip that.
If you really want to understand monster fuckers, there's one movie in particular I've heard is pretty much required viewing. It's a little 2017 flick directed by Guillermo del Toro called The Shape of Water. The film was, forgive the pun, a bit of a watershed moment for this culture. It was a piece of mainstream media that treated monster fucking as a legitimate fantasy, a mature fairy tale where the beauty gets her beast and they live happily ever after. It's not treated as a joke, for once, or as some sort of exotic fetish. It's a metaphor, and a good one. The Shape of Water is very interested in the concept of otherness. It's what compels the romance at the heart of the story. Eliza, a cleaning woman at the research facility where the majority of the story takes place, is mute. She's mistreated by her superiors who look down on her because she can't speak. One day, a mysterious tank arrives at the facility containing a fishman captured from the rivers of South America. He suffers cruel experiments at the hands of the Colonel, the same man who torments Eliza.
God
From
damn.
their very first meeting, Eliza and the fishman feel a sort of kinship. Neither of them can communicate with words. They both know what it's like to be the other. To Eliza, the fishman isn't a monster. He's sensitive. He's caring. He's able to look past her disability and see her for who she is. I move my mouth like him, she signs. I make no sound like him. What does that make me? They may both be treated like outsiders by the rest of society, but in each other's eyes, they're just two misfits in love. I think that's why the monster romance in The Shape of Water works so well. The fishman is Eliza's fairy tale prince, gills and all, but he is, importantly, still a monster, still the other. The story takes place in Cold War-era America, amid a culture of distrust in anything different. And within that context, the fishman is as different as you can possibly get. Eliza's love can't change that. Stories like The Shape of Water prove that the monster...
Sorry, I'm staring with my eyes like skewed and skeptical because I'm just like, I feel jaded to an extent where I'm just like, okay, where's the twist gonna come in here? Something fucked up's gonna happen. I don't think there is gonna be, but I'm worried about it.
Monster can be recontextualized into a lover while remaining a monster. Not every monster romance story is like that. The fishman feels somehow different than the monsters in, say, Monster Musume or Sucker.
Monster Musume is dope. Also, centaurs are fucking amazing. I don't give a damn. Suckers for Love makes me like drastically want to get into some Eldritch Horrors shipping nonsense, but I also have to realize that I have only a few Eldritch Horror OCs. I'm not sure how I would go about doing it with them.
For Love. And you could say it's because he looks more like a monster. An otherwise conventionally attractive anime girl with some tentacles, or horns or something. I find monster a difficult term to apply there. But I think there's something else going on here too. Something a little deeper than just the looks. Let me introduce you to Ella Gallego, a researcher, maybe one of the only ones in the whole world, who has conducted an entire study on monster fuckers. It's called Monstrous Desire. It was invaluable to my research here, one of the few places I was able to find real data about all of this. She was kind enough to talk with us a little bit about her work, and when we did, she said something that really struck a chord for me. She said that the monster is inherently on the fringes. If it loses its core trait and becomes something that's not an other, it loses what it means to be a monster. I think that's what happens in a lot of monster romance stories. Sometimes the monster, rather than suffer in a world that doesn't want it, is made to fit, made acceptable, ordinary. And then I have to wonder, if it isn't an other anymore, then what exactly is it?
Furry porn? It's no longer monster fucking, it's just furry porn. Yeah.
This is Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nacosta.
What?
Perhaps the single most analyzed book in all monster fucker media. Seriously, people have written a truly shocking amount of actual academic analysis on this thing. And yes, I did read it. I read the whole thing. Consider it a demonstration of my professional dedication. You're welcome. Morning Glory Milking Farm is a story I can only describe as incongruous. It's an erotic romance between a woman and a minotaur. In some ways, it's surprisingly aware of itself. But unlike The Shape of Water, this book is also supposed to be comfortable. To use a more academic term, cozy. The Minotaur love interest isn't really a monster at all. He's rich and attractive. People like him. He's just sort of a nice guy. Creatures like him are normal in this world. They're just people here with lives and families. The only thing that makes this particular one monstrous, really, is how he can be sexualized. He's a Minotaur. He's super tall, muscular, and very well endowed. His sexuality is even a major plot point, being commodified by the eponymous milking farm where he meets the female protagonist. It is, shockingly, actually a factory which collects, let's call it, Minotaur milk to make a sort of fantasy Viagra for humans. The love story is sort of framed as an act of rebellion against this exploitative industry. But in the end, the lovers end up thanking it for bringing them together.
Seems like capitalism decided to become evil and just start draining people. Then again, I also have a GMO universe, which... fuck. I just mentioned that in the middle of the video. I don't think I can get into like full details here. If you want to know that information, find a Discord link somewhere or message in the comments and I'll give it to you and we'll talk about it later. But GMO for my universe, it stands for government mandated orgasms. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. But like, yeah, it just seems like you have Big Gov deciding to drain a select cast of people, and in return, they do give you financial compensation, though it is exploitative for the fact that you more likely are not getting the full amount that you're owed or due compared to how much you were being, well, exploited for, right? Yeah, no, it just seems like you start off with a story that's about breaking against the system, only to then think the system feels kind of wrong. I don't know.
That's what I mean when I say that the story is incongruous. The monster loses what it means to be a monster. Morning Glory Milking Farm intentionally flirts with themes like class, gender, and politics, but it never meaningfully addresses those issues in the way that The Shape of Water does. If it did, well, it wouldn't be so cozy anymore, would it? I'm not saying that every monster story needs to be some sort of social commentary, but every monster story is, in some way, about otherness. The Shape of Water offers a way to reflect on how you might relate to that otherness. Morning Glory Milking Farm fetishizes otherness, presenting it as safe and desirable. These stories are both monster romances, but they speak to very different fantasies. it all comes down to context. Where are the monsters, and what is it that makes them monstrous? This is what monster fucking does. The very exercise of indulging this fantasy is, at the same time, an interrogation of your own boundaries, your experiences, the culture and the world that you live in. It's a fantasy that requires the deconstruction of those boundaries. In a very real way, monster fucking is the act of towing the line at the edge of your world, where the monsters are. I mentioned the hear me out trend earlier.
Nice.
The one where people compare their weirdest crushes, the cakes. Well, there's one thing I didn't mention about this trend, and that's just how intense it can get. You'll find a lot of strong opinions out there about what even counts as a hear me out at all. For some, the Beast from Beauty and the Beast is unconventional enough to qualify. Others will tell you that he's not that weird, and the real hear me outs are like the great ones from Bloodborne or something.
I can see the idea with this thing here that's on my screen, right? Tentacles, claws, grasping pieces. Though I'd have many questions about what it's actually characterized as. Like, if there's a possibility of having a conversation with this, I can deal with it. If there's no way I can have any conversation, it's no longer cuddleable. No.
Even aside of this discourse that frames the hear me out as a test of morality. If your hear me outs are too basic, the argument goes, then you're a narrow-minded prude, or even worse, intolerant of people who are different from you. It's a lot. But remember, monsters are dependent on context, which also means that how you define a monster depends on the context you come from. I found this illustrated really well in a Tumblr blog. Shocking, right? It's called the Hear Me Out Worthy poll. The way it works is a little unique. People don't actually vote on whether or not they think a character is hot. Instead, the point of the blog is to see if it's even worth debating. In other words, it's a bunch of Tumblr weirdos, bless their souls, trying to figure out what might qualify as a...
Just going to go back real quickly. I like Vor. This isn't like the most terrifying thing possible, right? At the same time, it'd be a cute little scene, right, where partners just deciding to brush all of them magnificently fucked up and horrifying teeth. No, that'd be actually kind of cute. Grabbing a big ass brush and just scrubbing. Like, so how's your day been?
Figure out what might qualify as a hear me out to a normie. The results are, again, interesting. If you've been on the internet for any amount of time, you'll know that Tumblr is sort of its own unique culture. They have their own set of pretty notorious beauty standards over there. Some of the most iconic sex symbols in Tumblr history include Bill's Cipher, Sans the Skeleton, and of course, the Once. Ever heard of the Tumblr sexy man archetype?
Damn right.
Suffice it to say, attraction just works a little differently over there. So, as you can expect, when they try to decide what a normie might find attractive, well, I'll let the polls speak for themselves. According to Tumblr, some obvious normie hear me outs would include Death from Discworld.
Bitch, what?
The tall gargoyle from Disney's The
Okay, I can see this one.
Hunchback of Notre Dame. Gonzo the Muppet.
Nope. That motherfucker needs an entire condom for just his nose alone. No. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, you can give oral while also doing...
This is exactly what I find so interesting about Hear Me Out as a trend. More than anything, it shows what individual people consider to be monstrous. It also reveals something about the context they're coming from, and how that context determines what otherness is to them. It's a contentious trend because of how personal it is, and how many different opinions are involved. At its core, Hear Me Out is an exercise that allows you to ask yourself, can I break down my own boundaries? And what would happen if I did? So, in a way, monster fucking is the act of choosing your own monsters. Because the first step in setting your own boundaries is also finding them. It quietly begs the question, if you didn't choose who the monsters are, then who did? After all this conversation, all this research, you know, I wouldn't fault you for still kind of thinking monster fucking is a joke. I mean, however seriously you try to take it, they're still called monster fuckers. It's a word I've been saying for this whole video with a straight face. You'd think it would be a simple idea, but researching this was actually way more daunting than I expected. Being a monster fucker is a deeply personal thing.
Is it weird that I want to see Tail Foundry not attached, but approach more, not erotica in general, but just like more taboo topics, or at least perceived to be taboo topics, because honestly, this is pretty mainstream to me.
Like Eliza from The Shape of Water, some people can relate to how the monsters are treated. They see their own otherness mirrored within the monster. For some, it's about empowerment. They want to believe that their love can reform even the most terrifying beasts. Romancing the monster can even be an exercise in self-love, embracing a representation of your own flaws and anxiety, the things that scare you about yourself. As one Redditor put it, if a monster could be beautiful to someone, then I could be too. There are as many reasons to be a monster fucker as there are monsters to love. Ella, the researcher I interviewed, left me with this thought. There's so much flexibility in monstrosity. It's a lack of categorization and boundaries. It can be extremely helpful when engaging with desire. And I think she's right. I think there's a reason this caught on and a reason it stayed here. I think as an exercise, it's just legitimately useful. If you really want to figure out your own boundaries, to determine who the monsters are to you rather than be told by someone else, well, maybe the monster fuckers are onto something. Okay, the research for this video was an absolute rabbit hole. Never in a million years did I think I'd be reading Morning Glory Milking Farm for a Tail Foundry video, but here we are. Honestly, it was a
Honestly, I thought that with a title like that, we were going to get like some weird Hugh Kyle nonsense and a crazy bullshit story. But like, overall, seems pretty tame. Then again, more likely, this was an incredibly tame descriptor of what actually happens in that story.
ton of fun, but it took a little bit of effort to stay sane during all of that. I sort of had to temper all the introspection and philosophy and taboo with something a little more concrete, something nice and direct and rational. So, I've been learning some programming on the side. If you told me a few months back that I would someday enjoy coding, I would not have believed you. Now I'm learning how to use Python, and I haven't even broken a sweat. I've technically never broken a sweat in my life, but you get what I mean. In fact, compared to all the research I did for this video, I would call the programming stuff positively soothing. I think a huge part of that is just where I've been doing it. All these clips I've been showing you, they're from an app you may have heard of before, an app called Brilliant, designed exactly for this kind of learning. Whether you're an expert or a beginner like me, you can start at your own level and work at your own pace. 5 to 10 minutes a day whenever you have a little spare time. It's like a real legitimate education right there on your phone or your computer. To give it a try, visit brilliant.org/tailfoundry or scan the QR code on screen. You can actually get started for free. Then if you want to sign up and get unlimited daily access to everything Brilliant has to offer, you can use that same link to get 20% off an annual subscription. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to get started. Again, that's brilliant.org/tailfoundry for 20% off an annual subscription. Thanks, Brilliant, for helping me keep all the thoughts of Minotaur milk at bay. I really...
Trust me. By the way, for those who are actually going to be looking into finding out what the fuck I mean by GMO for government mandated orgasms, think of a universe where fluids are around, I think, what, 12 times more efficient than gasoline? You could probably get where the fuck that story goes.
needed that this time. Anyway, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching and keep making stuff up. I'll see you next week. Bye!
Alright, anyways, links, comments, description, look down. If you want to help me, you can help me, please, yeah. I do have an outro. I do have a thing going on, but I want to show off one of the things real quickly because working on an animation for this month of November. It should drop on the art channel on the last day, and it's a little audio thing. Yeah. Well, working on the audio of the animation so far.
Pick it up, you little worm. The sword is not something that one should just use for the sake of one's own amusement, but instead, I will be teaching you how to defend yourself for my amusement.
Anyways, that's a little snippet for now. We'll add more to it as I go along. But please understand one small, crucial, itty bitty little detail. I'm here to fucking stay, and I'll be making more videos in advance and doing all this shit. But everybody, please have a fun time, enjoy yourselves, and live many happy lives. Here's my actual outro.
Hi, you are watching the outro. Congratulations. You can find me on the platforms that are mentioned behind me. Also, you can find me, well, doing work, such as animating, reacting, writing, and editing between these two different mediums. Also, I do a little bit of voice acting. What type of voice acting? These. Also, I'm open for collaborations. Hit me up at these socials. And if you want to pay me for any of these works, you can commission me through. If you'd like to come around and check out some of the campaigns that happen, well, congrats. They'll be on the Saturdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. Or you can watch the VODs when they release on Sundays. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, you may like it. If you want to say something, you may comment. And if you would come back around support, and you wish to show me that I am worthy of your subscription, subscribe.